You heard about this, right? The great big Super Bowl celebration congratulating the Kansas City Chiefs, and somebody starts shooting people. Maybe more than one person started shooting people. 1 dead, 22 injured, 3 suspects in custody. The investigation is in its early stages. We do feel confident, though, that the investigation is going in a direction that has nothing to do with the FBI's priority over the past 3 years.
In the aftermath of the attack, the Justice Department began its work on what has become one of the largest, most complex, and most resource-intensive investigations in our history. Only a small number of perpetrators were arrested in the tumult of January 6th itself. Every day since, we have worked to identify, investigate, and apprehend defendants from across the country.
We got real bad things happening, and they have totally rewired law enforcement across the country, starting with the FBI, to be focused on phantoms, on fantasies, on things that don't exist.
According to the intelligence community, terrorism from white supremacy is the most lethal threat to the homeland today.
One of the greatest threats to our national security is domestic terrorism manifested by white supremacists.
I obviously am very concerned about the rise of extremism and extremism related to white supremacy.
The FBI has warned repeatedly that domestic terrorism fueled by white supremacy is the #1 threat to the United States right now.
It's funny how whenever something real happens, we forget about all that stuff. Thing is, we should forget about all that stuff when nothing is going on, because those silly priorities, fighting white supremacy, we hate it, but it's not a thing. And hiring more women, as they've encouraged the Kansas City Police Department to do, and worrying about what people look like, it's not making anybody safer. And that horrible, horrible thing today, law enforcement, they actually spend bandwidth on that kind of stuff, on stuff that their political masters want them worried about, so their political masters can benefit. Just a stark reminder that we live in a real world with real danger. And the January 6th white supremacy stuff, a great big phantom and a great big waste of time. And that brings me to the security risk that is Joe Biden. I am not letting up on this report. No way. Folks, this thing is just getting started. Don't believe them when they say nothing to see here. They are lying.
They shouldn't distract from the fact that the case is closed.
The prosecutor did this, the special counsel did this in the case, made a conclusion that there is no case closed.
There's no there, right? It said that the case is closed.
The bottom line is the matter is now closed.
Yeah, the report didn't say that, actually, but they say it. And they say it enough, and guess who picks up on it? The fake news. Fake news. They're desperately trying to turn the subject, turn the page. They don't want to talk about this anymore. They've got their orders, and so far, look, this story broke on Thursday. It should be a 2-week, 3-week administration changing story. It petered out Monday. A 2 full day, a weekend story, and that's it.
After nearly 9 years, Jon Stewart's highly anticipated return to The Daily Show made it feel like he never left.
Also tonight, the Northeast is reeling from a fast-moving and, dare we say, unusual snowstorm.
In New Orleans, today was Mardi Gras, or Fat Tuesday, the grand finale of Carnival season.
Tonight, 2 bald eagles in Southern California's San Bernardino Mountains, capturing the world's attention. So many watching them online.
Not a mention of Joe Biden doing exactly what they accused Donald Trump of doing, but not having the permission to do it, and actually being guilty of things. Just because they're not charging this guy doesn't think that they don't think he committed a crime. It's whether or not they can convince a jury. I'll get to it in a moment. Number one, look at this. We've all seen this from TV shows, right? And it actually applies in government. You got top secret, you got confidential, you got classified. You've got these different gradations of how sensitive the material is. Well, Joe Biden played a real game. This is kind of wild. They don't believe Joe Biden, and neither will you when you see the stuff that he was pushing, all right? So, in Mr. Biden's written answers to questions from our office, he called into question whether he knew the information in his notebooks was classified. Okay, remember this, classified. Keep going. Mr. Biden explained that when he described material in his notebooks to Zwanitzer, his ghostwriter, as classified, he did not actually mean classified. According to Mr. Biden, I may have used the word classified with Mr. Zwanitzer in a generic sense to refer not to the formal classification of national security information, but to sensitive or private topics to ensure that Mr. Zwanitzer would not write about them. This is not true. This is Joe Biden lying and actually having his lawyers lie for him. Keep going, please. Mr. Biden qualified this answer by explaining, I do not recall the specific conversations you reference with Mr. Zwanitzer, which took place more than 6 years ago. All right, keep in mind, he's on audio tape sharing confidential information, classified information, and at this point, the lawyers know it, but they're looking for a way out, and the prosecutor is not buying it. I love this part. Next, please. This explanation that classified does not mean classified is not credible. At the time Mr. Biden met with Zwanitzer, Mr. Biden had nearly 50 years of experience dealing with classified information, including as a member of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, a member and chairman of the Senate Committee on the Judiciary, a member and chairman of the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations, and vice president of the United States. It is not plausible that a person of his knowledge and experience use the term classified in this context as a euphemism for private. Isn't that nice? Isn't that fun? The government prosecutor catching Joe Biden in a lie. He's being nice about it himself, but I just love it. Keep going, please. Mr. Biden's explanation is even less credible in light of his actual words to Mr. Zwanitzer, the ghostwriter. Mr. Biden warned Zwanitzer, some of this may be classified, so be careful, and added, I'm not sure it isn't marked classified, but the evidence shows that Mr. Biden knew his notebooks contained such information, classified information. This is Clinton-esque. I may have said classified, but I didn't mean classified. It depends. Remember this one? Joe can't pull this off. Bill Clinton did. What did they say? What was that word that he didn't think they defined properly?
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is. Yes. If is means is and never has been, that's one thing. If it means there is none, that was a completely true statement.
Wow. Slick Willie, you're not kidding. This is all about there is no sexual relation with that woman. I think that's what he's getting at. Whatever it is, he's good. He was good at it. Joe Biden is not good at it. And neither are his lawyers. This was in written responses. So Joe, just like his lawyers, they're lying. This guy, this is Robert Bauer. I can't believe he got away with this on national television. This must be reinforced, folks.
He was saying staff was clearly involved, responsible for the packing. We don't see presidents and vice presidents during transitions packing boxes. But he recognizes now when he looks back on it, maybe more involvement on his part was necessary because it didn't go the way he thought it should have gone.
You don't see normal presidents or vice presidents who aren't trying to hide something packing boxes. But Joe Biden, your client, was seen packing boxes, and here you are lying about it. Here you are pretending that page 151 does not exist, but it does. And let's go through it. When they were moving out of the White House, the Naval Observatory where the vice president lives, the Bidens paid for the move themselves and packed their own belongings, okay? Mr. Biden was personally involved in the move, personally. Next, one military aide recalled seeing him packing by himself and just him moving his stuff one at a time into the truck at the Naval Observatory on moving day. Again, the Naval Observatory being the official residence of the Vice President of the United States. Hey, a normal president doesn't do this, like Donald Trump when he's leaving the White House on January 20th on Inauguration Day. Do you see any boxes with him? No. He had aides do that, and that's okay. That's the way it should be done. They're not hiding anything. These are boxes. They're allowed to, under the Presidential Records Act, the president, and oh, by the way, he's still president. He's still president. He's still president when he gets to Mar-a-Lago later that morning. Something else, isn't it? All right, take a look at this.
Mr. President, I may have to call you once every couple weeks just to hear your voice. It's been going on a long time.
Strange thing to say to a guy who's the president of Ukraine when you have 4 days left on the job as vice president. But Joe, as we know, the Biden family had significant interests in Ukraine. At that very moment, Hunter Biden was still making a lot of money from Burisma. Every month, $100,000 coming in. That's why Joe wanted to check in with the president, not because he liked the sound of his voice. And in this report, Robert Hur and the classified documents, there's this little gem. Joe was writing little notes to his staff. Get a copy of this conversation from the Situation Room for my records, please. And that conversation was with the president of Ukraine. Talking points for a call between Mr. Biden and the Ukrainian prime minister. More and more, we're seeing that the documents that Joe kept related potentially to his foreign business dealings. There's going to be a lot more on this. Now take a look.
They turned in these classified documents right away to the National Archives.
Joe Biden turned it over immediately. Biden came clean right away.
They discovered these classified documents, notifying the National Archives right away.
All right, you've heard this, right? This is nonsense. It's not. And I actually realized it's even longer than I thought. The documents first discovered, we're told, in November of 2022 at the Biden Penn Center. You know how long they were finding documents from Joe Biden? 7 months later, they were still finding secret documents that Joe Biden should not have had, all the way up to June of 2023. Now, with Donald Trump, it was a one-day affair. Remember when they sent the FBI? August 8th, 2022? I will never forget that moment. That's when I was really afraid for this country, when I found out the FBI and what they did that day. But here's something else. Joe Biden may have been tipped off about this raid, and that's why he had started moving stuff out of the Biden Penn Center, or at least having staff check it out. If you're the president of the United States, you're going to hear things. So this is the Biden Penn Center downtown, right? And I want to go back to the August 8th date, 2022. Well before this, a year before, there were all kinds of stories publicly reported about a conflict between Donald Trump and the National Archives. And as we all know, they were out to get Trump. Isn't it just possible that Team Biden heard about this, got a little bit nervous because they knew they had classified stuff? So in May of 2022, they start sending people, the White House starts sending people over there to see what's there, and maybe we should start moving it. But they got to be subtle about it. And they actually have to pay some money at some point. Look at this closet. It's full of stuff. Anybody can move it. Anybody. But they had lawyers involved for some reason. High-priced lawyers like this guy. One of Joe Biden's private attorneys who lives in Boston came down to supervise the removal of boxes from a closet. Why did they do that? That costs money. What is going on? I think they may have been tipped off.